like a different child. He just stood there and he was like looking, like he had this evil look in his eye, like he was possessed or something. And so I like picked up some kind of, I think it was a walking stick.
This is Valerie Owens, a seemingly loving mother about to give birth to twins who turned her home into a house of horrors. This twisted true crime story begins on December 27, 2011, when Alachua County deputies are called to a home in Newberry, Florida. There, they find 5-year-old Javarian Wallace dead. When an autopsy reveals he has multiple injuries, police open a homicide investigation. Detectives focus on the adults in the home, Javarian's mother, Valerie, and his aunt, Alice Owens. Learning that Valerie was watching Javarian at the time of his death, investigators haul her down to the station for a full police interrogation. Detectives have no idea they're about to unravel a real-life horror story of family secrets, a web of lies, and a pregnant mother who turned on her own child.
Hey, Valerie. Do you remember me? Yes, I spoke to you a few weeks ago. My name's Charles Beverly. I don't know if you remember my name or not. The female detectives in here, you mentioned your feet is swollen. Do you want me to slide one of those chairs over for you so you can put your feet up?
No, it wouldn't matter. We're going to be swollen into
Okay.
whatever.
You sure you don't want to put your feet up or anything?
It wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter?
I keep them up, like, when I was home, I kept them up all day, and it just didn't matter.
Okay.
It's just fluid.
Okay. Valerie, if you want, we're sitting here talking. I'll go ahead and take them cuffs off if you want. I know those things aren't the most comfortable things here. That a little better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome. These things are very, very uncomfortable. Valerie, just so I can, kind of get some basic information from you. I know I got it from you before, but I left my other notepad on my desk and everything.
Yeah.
Your last name is Owens, right? And Valerie, what's your date of birth?
11/13/85.
You're from Newberry, right?
Yes.
But you've got family. Is it in Alabama?
Yeah, I have a cousin that lives up there with his family.
Is he originally from there, or did he move up there?
He moved up there.
Okay, so all your family is from Newberry, from Alachua County here?
They're from Archer, but my aunt moved to Newberry, so we just say I was raised in Newberry, so I just say I'm from there.
But from Alachua County, the general area out there
Yes.
between Archer and Newberry, they're pretty close. Did you go to school out there in Newberry?
Yes.
Newberry High School?
Mm-hmm.
What year did you graduate?
2004.
2004. Did you like school?
Yes, I love school.
Did you do well in school?
AB on a roll.
Really?
All the time.
You play any sports or anything like that?
No, I didn't play. I was in the band, in the color guard for the band.
Okay. What instrument did you play?
I didn't. It was flag.
Oh, the flag display.
Flag.
Okay. Okay. All right. Valerie, do you know why you're here today?
Yeah, when they read me my rights, they said murder and neglect.
The gentleman who picked you up at the house this morning, he read you your rights then?
He read a warrant.
Oh, he read the warrant. He read the warrant to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you understand what that warrant, what that means? What those charges mean?
I don't.
You don't.
But I know with the seriousness of.
Okay. And I hope that you do understand the seriousness of them. Okay. I do. Okay. And what I want to do is, since you understand how serious it is, and it is serious, okay, what I'd like to do is sit here and talk to you and see if we can, figure some of this out and maybe get some answers to some things.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, this is, you understand that this is really related to, and how did you feel when they read the warrant to you and it said homicide and neglect on there?
Really devastated because throughout all of this, I have been holding my feelings inside, and because of being pregnant,
Right.
and it really just it floored me.
Well, I know you obviously have a lot on your plate right now. I mean, with, you got your little girl at the house,
No.
or you don't have her, but I mean, you that's a worry for you.
Right.
And you've got the two little ones that you're gonna have a C-section this week. You're gonna have, give birth to them, and so I can't imagine what you're going through. I can't. Okay.
It really just grounded. I'm grounded with just hearing it about people. I wasn't listening to all the gossip and stuff, and they were already saying it. So I'm like,
Well, I'll tell you something. The one thing that we don't listen to is that gossip, because everyone's got their own opinion,
right.
and it's amazing some of the things people say. They just pull things out of the air,
Yeah.
and you start to wonder, where did this come from? But I'm letting you know that regardless what's been said to you, who's talking, I don't care about all that. I don't listen to that. That's why it's important for me to sit here and talk to you.
Right.
Okay. And you mentioned that you've been holding your feelings back. Why have you been holding your feelings back?
Because I'm pregnant, and my doctor, he's been making sure that I stay, as calm as possible because I'm at high risk.
Oh, are you? It's a high-risk pregnancy?
Yes. And so it's everything that has been going on has just been so hard to try not to cry, and it's just really been hard. But trying to be calm with them, that's what I'm saying.
Right. Trying to be calm for them.
Right. Exactly.
For yourself and for them.
Exactly, because I don't want to put them in danger.
Right.
With my emotions. And
I've never lost a child, Valerie, so I truly don't know what you're going through. I mean, I would think that any person, whether you have children or not, the loss of a child is a terrible thing.
It is very devastating.
And I mean, it's no one wants to see a child pass away from anything. And so I mean, it's this case has affected me, but I can't imagine how things are for you.
It's very hard, but
And I definitely understand, especially your doctor's giving you the advice that you really need to stay calm for your two little ones that you're about to have and everything. But you do know it's okay to cry about this, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that you don't want to get yourself so emotional and so worked up to where you start shutting down and you're not eating and things like that.
That's exactly what I was trying to avoid, because that was the point that I was about at, like.
You've almost gotten to that point?
Yeah. It was it was hard to go on,
Right.
with my everyday routine and everything. It just changed, and it's been so hard without my kids, because they were my life.
Sure. Have you been getting a lot of family support?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. you know, it's just hard with family too because they look at you differently because when they hear on the news.
Right, and the rumors and things like that.
Exactly.
Right, right.
But I do have a lot that do stand behind me.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. You know, and it's one of these things where, like we just talked about, that you know the loss of a child under any circumstances is a terrible thing.
It is.
And you know, as adults, you know, I like to think that any adult would do anything for a child. And so sometimes it's just very difficult for someone, whether they're family or they're not family, to really understand.
It is. It really is.
You know, I mean,
It really is. It's hard. You know, it was just nothing you can really, you know, do or say to them because they believe everything the news says and
right.
you know, judge me before I could even, you know, give them a hug or anything.
So you've kind of gotten that cold shoulder from some people.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You know, like at the funeral, his dad's family, they came, you know, finally. And it's like, they look at me like I'm some kind of, and it's just really hard, you know. After all I've, you know, done for my son,
Mm-hmm.
to have them look at me like that because, you know, I never got that support from them.
Right.
You know, they're looking at us, oh, she didn't let us see him and we couldn't find her and you should have told us and all of this stuff right here. But, you know, a lot of people are already, you know, form their opinions and things.
And it's not fair.
It's not.
It's not fair.
Because I had custody of him and I tried, you know, for the father to help me with him and, you know, try to let him be in on it. But when someone tells you that they don't want to.
Excuse me for a second.
I'm sorry.
It's just hard, you know, being a single mother and, you know, doing everything, going to the very end of the rope for your kids and, you know, for people to label you like that, it's really hard.
Okay. Well, you know, like I mentioned, Valerie, it's not fair for people to form opinions, especially when they don't really know what happened.
Exactly.
They're just hearing things from the neighborhood or from the news, wherever they're hearing this from.
Yeah.
They take these little bits and pieces and they form, okay, this is what must have happened. Yeah. Okay. And like I mentioned before, it's important for me to sit here and speak to you and find out what really happened. Okay? And I don't care about rumors. I don't care about the news. I don't care about the newspapers. I don't care about none of that. Okay? What I care about is sitting here and talking to you. Okay? And I do want to talk to you about this. Okay? But before I do, I have to read you your Miranda. Okay? It's just one of those things because you have been placed under arrest and you're here in a controlled facility. So it's just one of those things I have to do. Okay?
Yeah.
But we can go ahead and get this taken care of. And if you're willing, we'll sit here and we'll talk and, you know, we'll get the facts. Okay? Rumors aside and everything, we'll get the facts about this. Okay? All right? Just bear with me and I'll read this to you. Okay?
Valerie has read her Miranda rights.
Saying that I can talk to you without a lawyer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't sign if I would want someone here to represent me?
Basically, by signing this just says that you understand
Okay.
what your rights are. This doesn't obligate you
Okay.
to do anything. This basically just means that I've read these to you and that you understand these.
Okay.
Okay? And what I'll do is I'll witness it that
Okay.
I'm the one who read them to you and then I'll witness your signature on here. Okay? But like I said, I don't know what you've been going through in the past couple of weeks. I have no idea. I can't imagine. It's great that you've had some good family support, but I don't know how it's made you feel to have those people, the ones who haven't supported you, stare at you or make, kind of give you the cold shoulder and things like that.
It's hard because these people, they weren't there,
Mm-hmm.
once we got away from, like, I used to live in Eastgate and stuff, and those people that I knew then, when we moved away, it's like I lost contact with all of them because I had no transportation, I had no phone, I was struggling, trying to take care of my children. I did anything for my children, anything. And you know what I'm saying? People always want to know is why wouldn't you bring them to see me and things like that. And it's like, why couldn't you come to see us?
Exactly. That's one of those things. They know where you're at too.
Exactly. And it's really hard, for so judgmental on me because they knew that, the father wasn't planning to help me with him,
Right.
all it because he was already on child support and that thing right there. It wasn't about the child support. That's the only thing that, really make me feel really bad is that you come out of nowhere, and you want to be so judgmental and release all kind of lies on me.
Right.
And stuff, and it just hurt.
Especially after all this time,
Exactly.
all those years that he didn't come, didn't help you out, didn't make the effort to come see you.
I did anything for my kids, and I have done anything for my kids. I went without for my kids.
And I believe that. And it's not fair. It's not fair to you. And it's not fair for your family.
Exactly.
That there's folks out there that do that.
Exactly.
After all this time, you don't hear from these people. You don't see them.
Yes.
And this unfortunate event happens, and next thing you know, they're there and they're passing judgment. They're telling you this and that.
Exactly. And it just that's been hard to deal with because at a time like this, especially being, in a situation like this,
Mm-hmm.
people will say anything because they're bitter and angry and they want to see something happen to you, and
Sure.
It's been hard to deal with that
Because they don't know.
They don't know
what happened. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to know from you. I'm not talking to anyone else. No family, no rumors, no newspapers, none of that stuff. From you. Okay. That's what I want to do. So all these rumors and all this other stuff that's going on, we can squash that. Because if we know what happened, none of that other stuff matters. Okay? And that's what I want. That's what I want you to talk to me about. I want you to tell me what had happened that day. His nickname.
Yeah.
I just want to know what happened the day that, okay. And, like you had mentioned before, it was a real shock to you to, for them to come to your house and tell you that you're under arrest for homicide. Obviously in your mind that's a terrible thing. You think the worst. You think the worst. You think all the stuff you see on the television. These serial killers and all this violent stuff.
Exactly.
But right now, since we don't know the facts, that's everyone expects it to be the worst thing.
Exactly.
And I don't know if it, if someone lost their temper, if it was an accident. That's what I want to find out. Okay. So that's what I would like for you to tell me about. Tell me what happened on the day that you had to call 911.
Like I said, he was very hyper he was very hyperactive, and he always got hurt in things. And people are saying that I beat him with a bat. I did not beat him with a bat. No, no, no. He always would get hurt and things, and people criticize me for not letting him outside all the time. When I did let him outside, I was always worried about trying to explain, well, how did this happen and how did that happen? Because that's all I ever heard. Why does he have these bruises and why does he have all of this? Because you cannot explain it to people and make them believe you. Mm-hmm. You cannot explain it. Gets hurt and you're afraid, but the child isn't. You know what I'm saying? Right. He doesn't understand that this can hurt him and that can hurt him. He wants to just do it because other kids do it, and he couldn't do that.
I understand.
And so, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, there's nothing I can say to explain about all the bruises and things like that because no one would believe me.
Well, I'm here to listen to you.
He was accident prone, always. He didn't have what I call coordination. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I worked with so many children in the past, and I've seen ones with mental disability, physical disabilities, everything, and it's just like, when you saw that he might have a disability, he was 3, and because he would always fall off the monkey bars or always end up getting hurt, and he would always get bruised, and he'll get a scratch, or trying to teach him how to ride a bicycle with training wheels, and you fall off, and it's just like, what can you do when you have a child that is always prone to getting hurt?
Sure. That must have been a difficult and a stressful thing for you to realize.
It was in the beginning, but it would never drive me to hurt him. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, I work with kids. If I want to hurt a child, I would never take in that occupation.
Right.
I quit working, so they had a lot of problems with him in Head Start, where he it was hard for them to manage him, and
because he was hyper. And
exactly.
Like
he didn't want to do what the other kids wanted to do. He wanted to play all the time.
Right.
And I dedicated my time with him, working with him, taught him how to use the bathroom and how to feed himself and things like that. He could function in a lot of things. It's certain things that he could not do.
Sure.
And most kids want to do the things that they can't do.
Sure.
And so it's just like, what can you say? And but like it hits their head, and then there's a big knot on their head, and people are like, what happened? And then you say, oh, he fell, and they're like, he just fell, and
right.
You can't explain that to people
because people already make their own minds up.
Exactly. They're not going to believe you.
Well, from people I've talked to and things, and you've mentioned that he's very hyper and just always wants to play and always wants to have a good time.
Yes.
At the same time, especially since with you being pregnant and everything, and having to take care of the 2-year-old and everything, I bet that could be stressful at times for you. It could be kind of overwhelming at times.
That's why my aunt was a lot of help.
Mm-hmm.
She was a lot of help to me. She really was. I have complete patience for children. I do. And there is no way, like, I can get upset.
Right.
It didn't make me upset. And then being pregnant, that didn't have anything to do with his disability and trying to manage him. Leela, she didn't have anything to do with him. She was very attentive. When she's doing something, she's doing that.
Right.
She wasn't running around screaming and everything like that, and neither was he. The only things that were going on with person he was regressing.
Was he?
And so people are like, 5-year-old in a pull-up because he would have accidents at night.
Right.
So why would I want to, just beat him up because he can't help himself? That is not the kind of person I am.
Right. Well, I don't think any mother or any father, at least I hope not, ever has, the intentions or, that they don't want to beat their children.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to do that. But I can understand, sometimes when there's a lot of things going on, you're under a lot of stress, we're all adults, we're all human. We can lose our tempers, and sometimes things can happen that we don't intend to happen, or things we normally wouldn't do. That can happen. We're human.
Yes.
And it's just one of those moments sometimes, when you're just kind of pushed that limit, or you're just kind of stretched so thin that, you almost don't know what to do anymore. You just feel like you've got so much on you, and you're overwhelmed, and sometimes it's hard to see, the light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes we can lose our patience, and that in no way is any indication that we're bad people, we're a bad mother or a bad father or anything like that. Okay, it doesn't say that at all, because we're human.
Right.
We've all got our limits.
Right.
And we can only all take so much.
Sure.
And an additional stress for you, from what I'm hearing, is that it was difficult for people you knew and people in your family to understand you and your situation, and your home situation, your home life. Some people they almost act like they're better than other people. They want to pass judgment and everything when they don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
They don't know they don't know what the daily routine is. They don't know how daily life is for someone.
Exactly.
They see little tiny bits and pieces, and they're like, "Oh, this must be how it is."
Yeah.
See, I don't know what it's like for you twins. I don't know what that's like.
It wasn't hard for me because of the simple fact I didn't have children that ran around yelling all of that all day, crying all day. They weren't like that, because in our home they had nothing but love and everything that they needed.
Right.
I could pick up a book while they're sitting there playing or watching their favorite cartoon. I can pick up a book and read like 3 chapters straight and not have to worry about my children, going all haywire.
Right.
That's why it wasn't hard, and it wasn't something that you have to just stop what you're doing and rush to right away, because they always were right there. And they weren't doing anything out of the way.
Right.
And that's why I say it wasn't difficult like people think it would be. Yeah, you have your points where you might want to have time to yourself or something like that.
Everyone needs that.
But, it's just, I can sit there and read a book and know that my kids were okay, and I didn't have to worry about them getting into things and stuff like that. Like I said, that was the only time that I was on pins and needles, because I know there was always that risk of him getting hurt, trying to turn a flip and, falling and could fracture something or break something. It was only when he was playing, because in the house it wasn't like that. He would sit down and, get a book, and we'll read a book, and we'll play with toys and things like that. Something to, keep him calm.
Right. Kind of keep his attention.
Right. He only got, wild when he was outside, which, what child doesn't?
Sure.
You outside, you're getting loose, you're, breaking out, it just.
And if all kids, they like to push their parents sometimes, or they you can get frustrated with kids, or they do things that they shouldn't do if you've told them numerous times. Did something that he knows he wasn't supposed to do. How would you discipline him?
I would talk to him, because that's how I had to talk to him, because he understood what I was saying. It just, in some things, he didn't understand. Like, you couldn't use big words with him.
Sure.
And things like that. You show him what he's supposed to do. You have to, communicate where he can understand what you're saying. Get on his level, bring it down to his level. And be like, okay, you forgot to flush the potty. It wasn't flush the toilet or flush the stool, potty, because he was more on a toddler's level than his actual age.
Right. You had to use kid terms.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he would understand better. And so when he did something wrong, it wasn't the yelling and lashing out, because we all forget to do things.
Sure we do.
I can walk out of the house and leave the light on and forget to turn it off. You don't just jump on a child because they forget to do something on time or right at the moment. And that's like I said, he wasn't the kind of child that would do something to try and make a parent mad.
Right.
He just couldn't understand that there were certain things that he could not do.
Right.
And he has had had little tantrums and temperamental things and stuff. And you talk to him, whether he understood or not. You have to be verbal with kids.
Mm-hmm. Sure you do.
And so it was just like, he would stomp off. You know how kids are, go pout.
Mm-hmm. So if he had a little tantrum or something like that, did he ever get out of control or anything like that? Was he a handful at times?
He didn't. No, not. He wasn't like a terrible 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like, okay, I'm mad. I'm gonna go over here. I'm not gonna talk to you, or I'm gonna go pout. But then, he's like completely snap out of it. It wasn't anything to be alarmed about and have to, protect, yourself from.
Right.
He would, maybe if he would have lived to get older, it probably would have been, one of those things where I would have had to think about, putting him in a facility or something, because, the older they get, the stronger they are,
Sure.
And the more outrageous they get. But he was 5.
And a lot of times,
kid.
even 5 and 6-year-olds, when they're special needs, a lot of times they really don't know how strong they can be.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
That's whether they're children all the way up through adulthood. That's one of those things that people with special needs, they don't realize how strong they are sometimes. How often did you have to spank him?
I didn't spank him.
You didn't?
No.
Okay.
He was too big for that.
Okay.
I tried harder with verbalization. The thing about it was, beating him wouldn't have made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It probably wouldn't have fazed him, because that's why they're special, because that nothing would even alarm him like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it would have done me good, so why would I?
Okay. Valerie, I know this is going to be difficult, and my goal my goal isn't to bring all this up just to upset you. I don't want you to think that's what I'm here to do. Okay.
I'm trying to just understand the best I can because
Okay.
what can I say?
With that in mind, I would really like you to take me back to that Tuesday and kind of walk me through that day. Maybe from the time you got up throughout that day. Do you remember what time you woke up that morning?
No, I don't. Like I said, with everything that has been going on, I cannot remember what time anything transpired that day because my mind has been strictly on the fact that he's gone. It's just been so hard to try to remember things up until that point because of the simple fact that everything that has happened since.
Sure.
And so I could give you a time, but it wouldn't be accurate. I don't think.
And I'm not expecting
expecting
exact time frames.
Right.
If you could just give me a general idea of maybe when your day started, and I mean I can't remember specific time frames even from today already. I couldn't tell you what I was doing exactly an hour ago and things like that. Okay.
I know that he didn't seem like anything was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told the people he had been playing, and I let him, actually go outside and do things, and I had Leela out, and I would tell him to stay on the back side. He always wanted to go over where the trees were,
mm-hmm.
because you seen. Well, I don't know if you seen our backyard, but the clothesline was back there, and the water, the meters and things
mm-hmm.
like that. So I would have them in an area where there would not be that many roots and things like that. But boys are going to be boys. They do whatever, and like I said, he was running around, and he wasn't one of those children that can see when something's dangerous. That come back.
Kids in general have a difficult time.
Exactly, and you know what I'm saying. And he was like, "Ha ha, it's funny because he's seen things on TV, and you try to explain that it's not real,
Right.
You can't do that, and you'll get hurt. And like I said, he didn't understand a lot of things in comparison, like hot from cold, and you have to do the test thing with him,
Right.
and then he finally learned that. But he didn't know like stop from go, and it was just kind of you had to keep an eye on it. And
sure.
Maybe I turned my back and went to go try to get Leela because she's running around, he's
mm-hmm.
running around, and it's just like watching them both and stuff,
sure.
And like I said, I saw him when he fell and he hit his head, and I was like, oh my God, please do not let anything wrong. So I went over and checked him, and and he was like, I'm gonna do it again, and he's like, no, don't do that again. So he takes off again, and he's circling around the tree, stumbles and falls again, and then it's like, oh my God. He's like, no, I'm gonna play. I go play. And I said, okay, well, let's move away from this area. Let's go back over here. Let's go get your ball. So he goes, runs, and he had a soccer ball.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of him using his feet, he always would like dive, and like it was like anything action, like it was like watching a movie, with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he did things like, didn't that hurt? Don't do that again. Did that hurt? And I'm like, no, I'll go play. It's just the way he played. You can expect to see a bruise come up, or a scratch or something, and it was difficult not letting him do the things that he wanted to do
Because you wanted him to have fun.
Exactly, and that's
wanted,
what I was trying to explain to them. I didn't want to keep him shut up in the house all the time. I wanted him to be able to play. I couldn't help how, the park was set up, because I used to take him to the park and he would fall out of the swing, because I'm standing there pushing him, and then he just like slip out of the swing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh gosh, this is not gonna look good to somebody like coming by,
Sure.
And it was, I just didn't like the way the park was set up for the kids, because especially for him, it was difficult because he will always go to something that would be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I try to like let him climb up slide, but he wants to climb up the part you slide down.
Right.
He fell off of that one day from climbing to get him down, and then he just jumps, and then he like fell and did a roll, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's the only time he was playing, because he wanted to do the super things.
He was just wide open.
Yes,
Okay.
it's like he was a superhero or something. And I'm looking at him like run and fall. Like I had some neighbors that used to come out to the park. He was like, wow, bird. And, because he didn't know what a bird was, but he's just going by what he hear, and he'll repeat what he said. He's like, wow, bird. And then he runs off, and then there was like some rocks next to the basketball court, and he like runs and just like did a 360 and was like fell and like hit his head, and it's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, please, 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 don't let anything be wrong. And he would never show anything that would be life threatening, nothing to rush him to the hospital for, because if you still jumping up laughing and taking off again, don't even give you time to like check, and they're taking off again, you wouldn't think anything was wrong.
Sure.
And like I said, like I told the people, if I'm guilty of anything, it's not looking internally into what, it may be something triggered, something last time he hit his head, and it's like, I wish I could change that, wish I could, have got a MRI or a CAT scan or something done, because internally, I don't know, what could have been going on. I could never, talk to him and ask him how he felt, because he couldn't tell me, he doesn't understand how to make that kind of conversation.
Sure. And Valerie, listen, I want you to understand that I don't think that you had any intentions to, for him to pass on or to be injured or anything like that. I don't think, that was I don't think you had any intent there.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. It was so sudden, because he didn't seem like anything was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just like, you see your child, like sitting there watching TV, and then, I can't even remember how long it was. I know I was, back and forth from the laundry room and doing dishes, and, because, like I said, he wasn't hungry, which, like I said, I thought he might have been burnt out. He had a bath, and I seen the bruises and things on him, so I was like, yeah, you hurt yourself in the yard. It was just hard,
Do you remember what time you gave him a bath?
It was like, because I wouldn't let him go back outside anymore. I said, okay, you have done your due. You've made up for, all the times that I kept you inside, doing activities, indoor activities. And I was like, no, you're not going to act out, because you got hurt too much. You had a boo-boo on your head, and you got bruises and stuff from all this falling and running and stuff. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get ready, to settle down early. And I gave him a bath. It had to be like, maybe it was still daylight. it was getting close in the evening. Maybe it was like maybe 5. I'm not quite. I can't remember.
And that's
But
okay.
it might have been like 5. I know it wasn't dark yet.
It was still daylight out.
It was still day. I said, okay, I'm gonna give you bath, and let you just chill. It was after Christmas, and it was just like, let's get your trucks and stuff, but he was just sitting there because he liked the Home Alone movies, and so I had that on, and he was just sitting there fine on the couch, and like I said, I just wish I could have just sat there with them or something,
Right.
because it happened so suddenly. It's just like, I don't understand what happened. And people are saying that he was beaten, and I don't know why they would say that, but I know now because they're talking about bruises.
Oh, that's where people are getting that from, just from what they're hearing and all.
And I'm like, I saw them, but I didn't think anybody would, think I did that to him,
Right.
I know some people who saw him, how he played, and
Mm-hmm.
they were like, look at your son, look at him. He's going to be a comedian. He's just over there falling, and he's over there, like, kind of turning flips. And, I was like, it's funny now, but, it's just like, I just always worry about him getting really seriously hurt.
Right.
Because he was, a pretty good sized boy.
Yeah, he
For
was.
his age.
He was tall for his age.
Exactly, and it's just like he would see things and he would think he could do that, and it was just hard, And that's all. I didn't want that to be time. You can't.
So does Alice help you out with him pretty regularly?
Yeah, she would always keep it where it was balanced. Like if it was Leela's bath time, she would already be feeding him. And that's where she was my help. That's where she came
kind
in.
Of help you multitask in the house.
Exactly. And it was much easier on her, because he was the oldest, and he was helpful.
Sure.
He was very helpful. That's why I miss him. Yes, because he would do things like he would go get a diaper for Leela, and I said, can you go find Leela's diaper? You know what a diaper is? I would show him what it is, and he would go get it, And it was hard trying to explain it, which I could not explain it to him, like why you have to put on a pull-up at night and things,
Right.
And it was so hurtful in family court for that lady, she was saying, how can a mother be a mother if her 5-year-old is wearing a diaper? And it was so hurtful because she didn't understand.
Right, and again, that goes back to people not understanding the situation. They read a report or they meet y'all for the first time and they don't
Exactly.
They don't know.
I did the best to make the whole situation comfortable.
Right.
I didn't want him to lay down and be wet all night or something.
Sure.
He could have on a pull-up and he'll be ready to get bathed again, and
And it was a good thing that I was there to help you out with that.
Yeah, it really was, because like I said, it didn't just, start. It was like that since he was 3. This is before Leela was born. And, he would have accidents and things like that.
Right.
And I've been dealing with it pretty well, I think, from, noticing his disability from 3 all the way up to 5. And I dealt with it really well. I think I did, in my own opinion.
I think it still had to be pretty tough for you. But
I didn't want to put him in a facility. I didn't want him on medication.
Right.
Because I didn't want him to be walking around like a zombie,
Sure.
Like I was telling the people, I wanted him to try his hardest to be able to do things. It's just the way he played and the danger in it.
Right.
It's just that was my only concern about it. And people were like, why you never bring him outside? And these are people that, you're not around when I have him outside.
Right.
You know, you don't know if I bring him outside or not. And there's a lot of people that did see him outside. And, he was eye catching because of the things he did,
Right.
It was like, it was funny then, but it's not funny now,
Right.
for him to just, be looking up and then just hit a tree,
Right.
like Three Stooges kind of stuff,
Right. How long have you lived with Alice out there?
I was with her for I think it's 2 years. Yeah, it was 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 2 years, and I was hoping to get a place of my own in that same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it was hard, trying to be on the waiting list and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because I really, with the twins coming, I really wanted, more space and, where we could be close to her as well. Because that's why I was there, because we lost my uncle, her boyfriend.
Yeah, that was just last year or this past year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she, I just wanted to be there for her because she was always there for me when I lost my dad.
Right. And after you lost him, was it just you? For y'all?
After my uncle?
Yeah, after your uncle passed away.
But he didn't live there at the house. He lived over at a trailer where he had with his son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't live in the house.
Okay, so it's just been the 4 of y'all living there?
Yeah, because after he passed, I was back and forth visiting, and then I just started staying there with her because I didn't want to, her to be there alone and
right,
everything, and it was.
And she helped you out. She was able to help you out with
that.
The kids.
True, exactly. But mostly I was there for to be moral support for her because I know she had been with him a while.
Since she lost him.
And I was small. They raised me. They practically raised me from 5 years old.
Okay. And is the father of the twins? Does he ever come to the house or anything? Is he in the picture?
No.
Okay.
No. My fault with that was like out partying, and you meet a guy, they're gone the next day,
right,
and you don't expect to see him again, and that's how it was with Leela's dad.
Sure.
It just no one you expect to see again.
Right.
And then you just stuck pregnant, and you're wonder what happened to old so and so.
Right. But I mean, you're still doing what you have to do.
Exactly. And none of that ever stopped me. Wherever he was, mm-hmm. I did not call him for help or anything. Thinking, well, maybe it's because he's always around a woman. Maybe a man can, with him and stuff.
Right.
I tried to. Ever did was, ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he walk like that? Why does he talk like that? Why can't he read? Why can't he write? Why? And this is when he was 3, 4, learning how to write.
Sure.
And I'm like, you cannot just question things when you don't understand what I'm telling you. He has a problem, a disability. Right. Oh, that's he ain't got no problem. You just don't teach him and this and this. And like I said, I quit working so I be with him and give him the attention that I felt like I wasn't giving him because I was working.
Right.
And I dedicated that to him, and that's why it was so hurtful for his opinion of me. It was so hurtful. I didn't let him see right. that it hurt me because
it did.
That's what he wanted. Exactly. I would never have told someone that for 10 years. or until they were 10. I could
I
never tell anybody that. That is why I just, I don't need you.
Police dig into Valerie's family relationships and how her Aunt Alice came to live with her.
So it's just, so I mean, since your uncle passed away, it's been, that's been y'all's family.
That's our family.
Okay.
And she was not there in the house that happened, because I know someone, like I said, this is rumor stuff, but I'm just, letting you know what I was hearing.
Okay.
People are saying, why didn't you use the regular telephone number that you were using when the 911 called? I panicked. My aunt was over visiting my cousin.
Your neighbor is a
yes,
cousin?
She is my cousin on my dad's side.
I see.
My aunt was over visiting her because she was sitting outside all alone. She was just going over having friendly talk, neighborly talk. I panicked, and my baby, she's over there. She has no idea what's going on because she's, doing her thing.
And she's 2.
Exactly. She wouldn't understand.
Right.
And so I didn't want to run across the street to the neighbor's house and say, I need to use your phone, and there with him, trying to get a response out of him, checking to see if he's breathing or anything like that. So I go to the door and I yell over to my aunt, and she brought my cousin's phone since she was already outside with the phone. So people are like, why did you call from a different number? Because I panicked.
But don't y'all normally use the cousin's phone?
No, we use the across the street neighbor's phone. That's where the 472, that number.
472.
Yes, that's the number what we usually use, because she's such a sweet lady. She let us use the phone and things because, we didn't have one.
Okay, so that was, for some reason I thought you normally used your cousin's phone.
No.
Next door, it was the lady across the street with
No.
the phone you normally use.
Yes.
But when all that came,
yeah, exactly. When I couldn't get a response from him. I panicked. I was like, oh Lord, to the door. And I stick my head out the door, and my aunt's right next door. And I called over. She runs over with the phone. She was like, what's going on? Because she was over there, that was her break time. She wasn't in the house when and she could tell you that there was nothing wrong. To give us some kind of understanding that maybe something was going to happen or something. Because I know that when he fell, I know it had to hurt.
Right, and that's when he was outside playing.
Yes.
And can you maybe put that in the day, like where that happened? Was it before lunch or after lunch when he fell?
This was, he was playing before lunch because he did not want anything to eat. He ate that afternoon, the day after Christmas, he ate that afternoon. He didn't want anything the next day, which wasn't unusual because, he had ate all of his he had candy and stuff the week prior and stuff, and I usually don't let him get candy,
Right.
And so I say, it's Christmas time, I'm not feeling,
Get on him.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm like, here, you get this chocolate and stuff. Because they got a lot of stuff early before Christmas and stuff. So, yeah. But, yeah, that day, he was not acting strange, and he wasn't acting strange before.
And when you woke up that morning, was he already up?
Yeah.
And he was kind of just doing his normal thing?
Yeah.
And what would that be?
Because he got up, he was up early, like, because that's what I was trying to explain to people, like, if he slept, he didn't sleep that long. I don't know if it was like a part of the disability, the mental thing, like his mind is always racing, and that's part of the excitement of,
he didn't need as much sleep as we would think he would need.
Exactly. Because when I was trying to get him help, like I said, I was trying to get him help through the Social Security, because they were the one who responded to me the first. I had to be on the waiting list, and so they responded first, and I got him evaluated with her name was Dr. Linda Bayless. He really, like, something really is, you know, going on up there. And, you know.
So when you woke up that morning, he was already up doing his thing. What was he doing when you woke up?
He was just sitting. He was, you know, just sitting there. And
watching TV or anything like that, or
he was, well, no one was, he was just sitting out right there at the bed. He was sitting on the bed, and he was like, you know, just sitting there. I suppose he had been to the bathroom, because he can go and do that.
mm-hmm.
It's just night when he had the problem.
Okay.
And so he was fine. Got up and I said, do you want something? And he would say water.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I said that probably came out, because that's what I was thinking. He was probably like burnt out from, you know, releasing all that energy.
Right.
And, you know, finally getting to, you know, get loose and get out and do things that he wanted to do. And, you know, he was fine.
So he was okay that morning, and he had gone outside to play, and around lunchtime you tried to get him to eat something, and he didn't want to eat anything.
Exactly. He kept asking for water, which wasn't like, I need water. He'd just say, water, can I get water? Mm-hmm. And I was figuring, yeah, sure, you can get water. Okay. You know, but I was still, I had that, you know, had him back around, you know, you don't want to eat, so I'll try again later.
Right.
And I asked him again, like around, I don't know what time it was. I know after I gave him the bath, he didn't want anything.
And it was
to eat.
It was around lunchtime, give or take, when he got his bath after he was playing outside.
No, it was more like almost evening. That's why I say it was still daylight, but it wasn't dark. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking it was maybe like 4 or 5, something like that. And
what did he do after he was playing outside? Around lunchtime, you tried to get him to eat something. He wasn't hungry. What was he doing after around that time? You know, say noontime. You know,
noontime?
Lunchtime. I don't know what lunchtime is for y'all.
Yeah, it was like 12:30, almost 1.
Okay, so say from after that, what was he doing after 12:30, 1 o'clock, after lunchtime?
He wasn't doing anything. He was just, you know, like he had one of his trucks, and he was sitting there on the floor, and he was, you know, like kept doing it like that. So the wheels would, you know, make sounds and stuff.
Right, over the floor. And where did he play in the house? Was it
he sat down on that rug right in our living room. You haven't been to our house?
Yes, ma'am.
He sat down on that rug.
Okay, right there in the living room.
Yeah.
Right between all the couches and everything?
Yeah, he would sit right there, wherever the TV was, so he could view right into the TV. And he would sit there and, you know, because it would make that sound on the rug, the tires on the truck. And he was sitting there doing that. And then I had got him, because for Christmas he had this little activity desk. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, well, do you want to do that? And he was like, no. He was like, truck. I got my truck. He was playing the truck. And then, you know, then I said, okay, well, let's give you a bath, because I thought he was all dirty and stuff. And then I was like, okay, well, let's go put your truck up and we'll get a bath. And I said, because we're not going outside anymore. We're not going to go outside anymore. And gave him a bath and got him all cleaned up and stuff. And I put the pull-up on him so that he'll already, you know, be okay.
Kind of ready for the night.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to let him go back outside anymore, because I just didn't, Okay. I think I had let him, you know, play it enough.
Right.
And, you know, like I said, getting hurt and stuff, I just wish I would have let him go outside and just, it's just so much you wish you could go back on, you know. Right. But like I said, I can't regret it, because he did get to have so much fun, and he always had fun, even in the house. But you know, it was nothing like children, breaking out and getting outside and getting loose and stuff.
And that afternoon, when he was playing with his truck and you were asking him if he wanted his little activity center, how long do you think he played there in the living room
with the truck?
Before he gave him his bath and everything?
He was down there. It had to be like maybe a couple of hours, because from maybe it was after that afternoon, maybe from like 2 to 3 or something like that, 3:30 or something. It had to be, because I was sitting down and watching them and stuff and everything, and then I would get up and go do what I had to do, laundry or whatever, and stuff, and that's what I was finishing up laundry when I come back around, because our laundry room is behind the kitchen, and I come back through the kitchen. I had done washed dishes and fixed Leela a cup of milk, and then I came back around. I said, "You sure you don't want to eat anything?" And then he didn't say anything. He was just like laying on the chair, and he had like eyes. His eyes were open. Like, I just thought that maybe he was, finna drift off to sleep. And then I was like, something's wrong.
What time do you think he laid down on the couch?
It's okay, after the bath, which was, like I said, it had to be like 4:35, getting around that time. It was getting dark, because when I made the 911 call, it was dark. I remember that. It had to be like maybe 5:30-ish, almost 6. It was somewhere around 5. Whenever I got my tub, it was maybe like 30, 40 minutes. It had to be, because like...
So 30 to 40 minutes after he got his bath?
It's so hard to remember.
And again, I'm not expecting you
to... It's so hard to remember. I know it was dark, because when I made the call, it was dark. I remember. But it wasn't... It's so hard to remember, because I was back and forth doing things.
Sure, I mean, you got chores in the house, things like that, and you got Leela running around and all that.
Yeah, she would, always be a step behind me, and so she would be back and forth, and because she liked it paper, so she had some paper, and she was back and forth doing that, and she would come up the hall and see what I was, just to see where I'm at, and you know how kids are.
Right.
Girls are more clingy than boys.
Sure.
So yeah, it was just hard, just walking back and forth, and then you're asking a question and you don't get an answer. It's like hysteria, panic.
How long, when he laid down on the couch, how long do you think it was from when he climbed up on the couch, he was laying there, and he was okay, to the time when you realized something was wrong?
Oh gosh, that's why I say, if I was just sitting there, I could probably tell you. I was moving around, finishing up laundry, and I was doing things. I know I was, because I was putting the clothes away and everything, and making sure they were okay.
So you're just poking your head in?
Yeah, because the house isn't that big, so I would know if something was to go wrong. But like I said, with him, he was quiet, and
right. He would just sit there and
he
watch
wasn't
TV.
Sitting there like making sounds where I could know that he was okay before and after. He wasn't making a sound at all, because
he got his bath somewhere around 5 o'clock. It was still daylight. It would have been shortly after his bath, or sometime right after his bath.
It had to be more like 4, because it was still day.
It was still sunny.
And like I say, when after he got the bath, it might have been maybe an hour. I don't know exactly how long, because it was hard. It's hard to judge time, and then
when you're moving around.
exactly,
and,
and then I wasn't keeping like a clock. I didn't have a watch or anything, so
Right.
it's hard to give you a time and it be dead on or approximate.
And I'm not expecting exact time frames. I mean, you're doing good.
It's just it's so hard to try to fathom. I just can't. Like I said, if I would have been sitting down, and the whole time,
we've been right there.
Yeah, maybe I could have, seen, maybe his eyes, maybe I don't know,
Okay.
what actually happened
Right.
before he went unresponsive.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. I was in the house, I was there.
Okay.
It's just I wasn't, like sitting there looking
Right,
at it.
right on top. Okay.
Yes.
So, but it was sometime after you had bathed and cleaned him up. He laid down there. You were just kind of in the house doing your thing.
Yes.
And then you realized
Yes.
something. So it could have been the bath was maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock somewhere. It was still sunny out.
Yes.
And he was laying in the living room after that, watching TV or just laying there on the couch.
Yeah, because like I said, he was down on the floor. He was playing with his trucks. Right there, like maybe between 2 and 3, or 2 going on 3, and then I got him ready to get a bath. Got the bath, and then that's when I sat on the couch and he was gonna watch TV, and that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if like the bump on the head or whatever, because like I say, I didn't know what to say.
Right.
From right then. I'm panicked. I'm hysterical. I don't know what happened to trigger,
I can't imagine.
to imagine what could have happened. And
Right.
then you get someone tell you, oh, they say he was hit in the head. All I know is I told everybody that he did fall and hit his head. I did tell that. I don't know what people wanted me to say.
Okay. Valerie, basically, I mean, throughout the day, from the time you got up and he was awake, he had been playing. I mean, he hadn't eaten anything, but I mean, for the most part, he seemed okay. He seemed normal.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. He didn't show any signs that he was weak or anything.
Okay.
He was doing stuff like he normally would. That's the only thing that was different, is that he hadn't ate anything.
And so after you brought him inside, he was inside playing in the living room for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
You gave him a bath. Some point in time after getting his bath, anywhere from 3, 4, 5 o'clock, somewhere in there, he laid down on the couch.
It was more like 5, maybe 5 to 6, or from like 5:30 up to 6. It was in the evening time.
Okay.
It was still in the evening time when he got on the couch.
It was still daylight out, but it was getting
dark.
Dark.
Exactly. Because when I made the 911 call, it was dark. So I know it had to be close to like 5:30ish, 6.
Okay. But prior to that, he had been acting completely normal.
He didn't show any sign, because if I could see something ahead of time, I would have took the necessary action and not waited so long.
Okay.
That's why I say it just was so sudden.
Right. And like I told you before, Valerie, I don't think that you had any ill intentions, or had this. You didn't intend for anything to happen to him. Okay. I don't think that. Okay. But I will tell you this. I believe something happened inside the home there. I don't know what it was, but something happened there. Maybe it was an accident. Someone lost their temper. Something happened. I'm hoping that you'll tell me what happened. Okay? Because this is why I'm telling you this. Okay? Speaking to the doctors and speaking to the medical examiner, we know injuries. Okay? And he couldn't have been playing. He wouldn't have been his normal self after receiving these injuries. Okay, and again, it's not that I think anyone intended on this to happen. Okay, but we know it happened.
Investigators let Valerie know that whatever happened in the house on December 27th led to her son's death, pushing her to tell them the truth.
What I need you to tell me is what happened. There's got to be something that happened. I want you to tell me what happened. Just be honest with me. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I want you to tell me what happened. If someone lost their temper, if there was an accident, if something got out of control, I need to know that. Because right now, everything it's assumed to be the worst, and we don't want that. We don't want to think that this was really worse than what it was. We want to know that there was no real intentions of this happening. And from what I know of you and what I've been told, I don't think that there were any ill intentions. But I know something happened. I know something happened. It went too far. He's dead. And it's a terrible thing. It hurts me. And I wasn't even related to him. Okay? So I want you to do that. I want you to tell me what happened. And it's okay that you cry about it. It's all right. There's no shame in you being emotional over this. Okay? So I know. So I don't have to assume the worst. So I don't have to think that this was an intentional thing, or this was a plan, or this was supposed to happen. Tell me what happened. Tell me what happened on that Tuesday. I want to hear it come from you. So there's no more rumors. There's no more assumptions. I just want to know what happened. Okay. Tell me what happened. Did something happen in the house that caused you to lose your temper? Because with everything that you've got going on, the additional stress and everything, the pregnancy and everything, that can happen.
I always tried to make him happy, And I thought about, letting him go outside and play, and that would satisfy him. But like I said, I wasn't taking him out anymore, because he had, did all that falling, and he had bumped his head and stuff, and so I guess he was upset and whatever, and it's just like, I remember seeing him, like that way.
Was he really agitated or something? Was he?
Yeah, he was, like being aggressive, and
What was he doing to you?
it was like he was, trying to, I don't know, like, I guess he was trying to hurt me because he couldn't go back outside or whatever.
Okay.
And I couldn't, like, try to, protect my belly and things like that.
So he was becoming aggressive. He was upset because he couldn't go back outside.
Yeah, and he
was trying to hit. Was he trying to hit you?
Yeah, and kick, and he was upset because I didn't go back out.
Okay. What happened? So he's being aggressive towards you because he's upset. What happened?
I kept, trying to like grab him, and like I said, he was strong, and I was trying to, keep him from, injuring my belly.
Sure.
But it's like he kept going at it and going at it and going at it. So I had to do something because he wouldn't stop.
He was getting out of control.
Yeah.
What did you have to do?
I had to get something. I forgot what it was. I just grabbed the first thing I saw.
Where were y'all at in the house?
We were like right there in the living room.
Okay.
And I didn't want to hurt Lila.
I understand.
Because
So you're worried about yourself and you're worried about Lila?
I was trying to protect my baby.
I understand.
Because he was very aggressive.
What did you have to do?
And I was trying to get his legs, like hit his legs and stuff and get him back off me in a way because I didn't want to hurt. I didn't want to hurt him. But he was like a different child. Like he was possessed or something.
Okay. Was there a struggle between you two?
Yeah, because I was trying to hold him back off of my arm, and so I grabbed him and I said, "Stop! No, don't hurt mommy, don't hurt mommy." But he wouldn't stop. He's just like really, really aggressive. Everything I've been saying is true. It's just like it hurts.
I can't imagine.
It really hurts to see your child act that way.
Sure, after
And then you try to protect your other one.
after everything you've done for him and trying to make him have the best you can, but at the same time you do have to protect Leela and you got to protect your two twins.
And so I picked up some kind of, I think it was a walking stick.
Okay. Like a cane?
It was more like someone, shaved down a branch or something.
What
it was my grandmother. She used to walk with it.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, like a homemade maybe cane.
Yeah.
A walking aid.
Yeah.
Okay. And where was that at in the house?
It was in the biggest room, the big room. Because I had went back down to try to keep getting the laundry and stuff folded while he was kicking at me and trying to, he was pulling at my shirt and stuff, and he kept hitting it.
So he was actually following you through the house?
Yeah.
Okay, so
he wanted to go back outside.
So it started in the living room?
Yeah.
But
And then I came back out because I was gonna get Leela and just trying to get out of the house and just let him, but I had that thing and I hit him and he got worse. And so after I hit him, I just kept hitting him because he wouldn't stop. He kept trying to punch and kick and it's just, I didn't mean it.
did?
No, I just couldn't protect my kid.
You were trying to protect yourself, Leela, and your twins.
I rather him hurt me. I just didn't want him to hurt them because I knew he probably went after her.
Okay. You were worried about that. How long did this go on?
He wasn't like this. He wasn't like that.
No, I mean, when just this one incident here, I mean, how long do you think it lasted with him just being overly aggressive and everything towards you? Because this seemed like it may have been kind of a drug out thing.
Maybe like ever since like when he was in school, Head Start, but I didn't beat him or anything.
I mean, this day when he became aggressive towards you and he was coming at you, you said it started in the living room. You went back to the big bedroom. Is that what you said? The big room, the big bedroom.
Because I was going back there to try to keep doing what I was doing and try to like ignore stuff, just like let him, lash out and do whatever. But he just kept coming at me. And then when he went back up front. I was scared he might go after Leela, like do something to her. So I went back up with the thing. And I told him, I said, stop, don't do that, do not do that. And he just wouldn't stop.
He just kept hitting him with the walking stick.
Yeah.
How many times do you think that you may have had to hit him?
I just wanted him to stop, I was mostly aiming at his legs so that he would, just stop, but he wouldn't. Like I say, it's like he would feel it. He was just really aggressive. He was, trying to scratch and trying to bite it.
Where all do you think that he may have gotten hit at during the whole struggle?
I know, like, his legs. I know I kept going for the legs. I might have got an arm or two. I was trying to, like, push him back and, and it was hard because he did, like, get me inside and stuff. And he was able to kick.
Okay.
And it was really, like, low, and I was trying to block it. It didn't hurt the babies, I don't think, because when I went to the doctor, they didn't say anything was wrong. Because I have a breech baby, one of them's breech.
Okay.
And so, like, yeah, he kept going on and on and on. He wouldn't stop. And I know it hurt. Sorry, Leela.
What happened? What happened after this? When did he finally stop?
He stopped when he fell backwards, because he fell backwards and he hit the floor. Because I was pushing him, and then I was still swinging at his legs, and his legs came from under him, and he hit the back of his head on the floor. Because he had already hit his head outside with on the tree.
Okay.
And so I was trying to defend him.
So he fell back on the floor and hit his head. What happened then?
And then I sat down. He stopped. He stopped, and that's when he sat down on the chair. And he just had this look on his face, like I was the worst person in the world, and I know that I am.
He seemed like he was just really shocked about what had happened.
Yeah, because I didn't hit him.
Okay.
I didn't beat him.
Now wasn't a normal thing.
No.
Okay.
It wasn't.
So after he fell back and hit his head on the floor, that's when he climbed up on there and laid there.
He was like he was gonna go for Leela, but I guess he thought about it like, oh, I'm gonna stop. You know, he just stood there and he was like looking, like he had this evil look in his eye, like he was possessed or something. I've never seen him like that.
Okay.
It was not intentional.
No, I don't think it was.
I was just trying to protect my
I understand.
baby.
And I didn't think, and I'm so glad that you did tell me what happened, because I didn't think this was something intentional. Because from what I've been told about you, I knew it had been some sort of accident. It had to have been.
Because I thought that we could play out before. You know, I thought that was satisfying. Like,
Sure.
He got that bath. He knew he wasn't going back outside. He just like he turned into a completely different child.
Okay. But after all this happened between the two of y'all, and he lay down on the couch, how long was it, do you think, before you realized something was wrong?
It was just like after that, like I said, I was going back to finish up laundry.
You went back to what you were
because
trying
I
to do?
thought that, you know, maybe he just needed to calm down.
Okay.
And, you know, just needed to get himself together and me as well, because anything I did, you know, that much damage, because they were in like baseball swings. They were just, you know, to get him off.
I understand.
So I was, you know, trying to, you know, hit him where, you know, he would, you know, just fall and break him out of that anger and aggression, because he was, I just didn't want him to hurt my stomach or Leela.
Okay. And when he laid up there on the couch and you kind of separated yourself from him, when you left him on the couch and walked away from him, did he seem okay at that time?
Yeah, he was just, like I said, he was sitting there like with a look on his face like, you are the worst person in the world.
Just kind of looking at you?
Yeah.
Did he say anything?
You know, he was just like, you know, just sitting there like he hated me. And he probably did.
And you went back to doing what you were trying to do in the house with the laundry and everything?
Yeah, I just, you know, giving him some time to just, you know, calm down.
Sure. And at what point in time, like say you're walking around the house, and I understand that it's hard to keep track of time and everything. Do you have an idea of how long it may have been before you realized something was wrong?
Like I said, I come back through and I went back into the lunchroom and finished up the clothes in there, and I came back and like I asked him, I said, now, are you okay? Are you hungry? I'm still trying to feed him after all of that.
I understand.
Because
you knew you needed to eat something.
Yes.
Because you didn't eat early.
Exactly. Because he was, you know, he wanted to just be, I think he could be outside all day and not, you know.
Well, you had things that you needed to take care of inside the house, too. You couldn't be outside all day.
Right. And then the way he was playing, like I said, all that falling and stuff, it wasn't, you know, I felt like it was enough, you know.
Right,
like
sure.
I said, he had been doing it, kept doing it, and it wasn't funny anymore.
Call
Exactly.
to say when you had enough. That's
Exactly.
your job. So tell me about so it was when you asked him if he wanted something to eat.
Yeah, and he didn't say anything.
Okay, what did you do?
That's when I panicked and I went to the door and I called next door to my aunt to bring a phone
Okay.
because they were outside over there and like she had no idea what was going on.
She wasn't in the house when
She
he was
wasn't.
being aggressive or anything.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Did you tell her what had happened when she came in?
No, because I was trying to explain to the operator
Okay.
that he was responding.
Well, I know you had a, you said you were panicked, you were worried.
Yeah,
You
I
were
didn't
scared.
have time to explain it to her.
I understand.
And she was just like, she thought it might have been from him bumping his head. Because she knew he was, sometimes he was bumped his head.
Okay.
And, she said it might have triggered something. And then I did too for a while, I think. And I probably didn't realize that.
It had gone as far as it did.
Exactly, because I didn't try to hurt him. I just wanted him to stop.
Have you confided in with Alice since all this has happened?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, because I just didn't want her to.
No, I don't think she would. But she still doesn't know what actually happened.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, everything was fine when she left the house. And, she knows he didn't get a temper or whatever,
Sure.
but it would never get that bad. Just like I said, I was honest about that. It never got that bad.
Okay.
I don't know if it was because I was pregnant or what I did. He got attention just like he got his equal amount of attention. I tried to do everything. Like I said, I had nothing but complete patience for him.
Okay.
There's nothing I could do that, I did not neglect him.
I don't think you did.
I didn't neglect him.
He was a big boy. He was well nourished.
Exactly. I didn't want him to be in a mental home or
Sure.
anything like that. I didn't want him to be on Redland and
I understand.
things like that. I wanted to give him a chance.
You were the best you could. You were doing what you thought was right, and you quit your job and everything and spent time with him.
Yeah.
And those.
Exactly. And, it's hard.
I
It's
can't
really hard.
imagine what you're going through.
Because I never started that like that. I did tell the truth about that. It was sudden, like he just snapped.
I believe you.
Because I never directly tried to tell him no, like
Right.
no,
Right.
you're not going to do this. No, I just try to smooth it where he could be more comforting with my answers.
Sure. Just try to keep him calm and keep him happy at the
Exactly,
same time.
because like I said, he didn't do that on a regular basis.
Right. But it had never gone that far before.
I didn't have to, get at him and things like that. Only when it came to outside, because he didn't never know when to stop, and that's the same problem they had with him when he was in Head Start.
Okay.
I had so many incident reports, like with him getting hurt, and he was like aggressive when like other kids. He didn't try to blend in with the other kids. He always wanted to be like a bully to them. Never did that at home.
Okay.
It was only like when he couldn't get what he wanted, but which wasn't that so long ago. Like that was like 2000 and maybe 9 when he was in school.
Okay.
Because they had so many problems with him, only because I wasn't around, and I guess it was hard for him to be told what to do by strangers, and he could be aggressive with them because he didn't know them. But yeah, that's the only time I ever, because I didn't believe the incident reports, but
you had never seen it.
Never seen it. And I don't know, like, if it was just, coming with the age, like I said, I did have, wonders about what would happen when he got older, like, him getting stronger and
you were worried about
him regressing, and he was getting worse, like, but I just didn't want to think about it, like, the dangers of having the little ones.
Well, as a mother, you gotta look out for them too. I mean, that's unfortunately, even as tough as that could possibly be, that's also part of your job. That's your job to do that.
Yeah.
Valerie, you said that what you picked up was your grandmother's walking stick. It was in the back, the big room. Is that the room Alice sleeps in? The big bedroom?
Yeah. So he could like be in a big bed because she loved him so much, and she would sleep on the couch sometimes just so he could be in a big bed.
Okay.
Because it was just how she was.
Okay. That walking stick, is it still in that big bedroom?
Yeah, it should be because I haven't touched it since.
Okay. You put it back in there after everything?
Yeah, because when I went back to finish up the laundry after he had calmed down, I just set it back.
Where is it in that room?
I set it back by the wall.
Like when you go into the room, where is it in the room? Is it to the left or on the right side of the wall that runs the door runs?
It's a guitar in the room.
Okay.
And it should be over there. I don't know if my aunt she might have just moved it out of the way, trying to get her curtain rods.
But it should be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Intending to hide it or anything
No,
because
I've got to ask.
Yeah.
And again, Valerie, I'm so glad that you sat here and that you told me what happened because now we don't have to think the worst.
Yeah, because
and I don't think. I mean, obviously, this wasn't something that you planned out or something that this was a terrible. No matter how you look at it, it's a terrible thing.
Exactly.
And I'm so sorry that you have to deal with your loss. I am. Okay, but I'm
sorry. I had to deal with it like that. I couldn't do it physically.
Okay.
And then I was at high risk, so I had to do something.
I understand. But now that I know what really happened, it was something that got out of hand, and it was an accident.
Yeah.
We don't have to assume the worst anymore. I appreciate you telling me the truth. I'm gonna let you sit here for a few minutes, okay?
Yeah.
I'll be back with you, okay? You gonna be all right for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need to go to the bathroom? I know you've been in here a while. Need something to drink, or are you still okay?
Can I get something to drink?
Sure. You don't need to use the bathroom though? Okay, yeah, I'll get you some. I'll be right back.
No, they got you some water and everything. Did they get you to the restroom?
I didn't have to.
You had to go? Okay. All right. Valerie, before when I told you I was asking about the stick and everything, what I'm going to do, if you're willing, is I'm going to ask that maybe you give me consent to go inside the residence and get that walking stick. Okay. what we're going to do, because by law we have to give you the opportunity to, you have to basically be there to say yes, you can go in, to give you, because you basically have to be there to be able to withdraw the consent. So later down the road, it was one of those things where you changed your mind and you weren't able to tell me no.
Yeah.
So what we're probably going to do is I'm going to have somebody drive you back out there so you can be there and give me permission to go inside the house. And I'm only going in there for that walking stick. I'm not going in for anything else. Okay.
That's fine. We have nothing in there to hide.
No. And I'm not trying to just say that.
I was just saying, okay.
If this is a consent search form, and this is giving me written permission to go inside the home, and I wrote your name here. It's the residence that I'm going to be entering at this address. Is that the correct address? Drive. Is that correct? And it'll be me, as my name, Detective Charles Beveridge. And if you are okay with me entering your home, if you would just sign this line right here. All right. Thank you, Valerie. You need more water? Okay.
I shouldn't have drunk, and now I have to go to the restroom.
Yeah,
so whenever.
Okay, I'll get somebody.
Valerie and Alice are both charged with murder and child neglect. At trial, Valerie tries to shift the blame onto Alice, blaming her for Javarian's death. The prosecution points to Valerie's own confession, saying she caused her son's death. The jury agrees. Valerie is convicted of manslaughter of a child. She is sentenced to 30 years in prison.